Here to provide some further insight is a West Point graduate, retired Army Major and GOP Congressman Mark Green. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. You've been a cadet. It wasn't on the parade field. I'm sure it was in Michie Stadium, the way they more traditionally do it. But talk to us, 1986, I believe, is your class. Talk to us about this day and the meaning to cadets.
Well, just imagine 4 arduous years of drill and military science, leadership training, your academic classes, and West Point's one of the unique places where, at least when I was there, the curriculum included engineering, whether you were an engineering major. I was an economics major, and I still had to take engineering classes. So it's just a very arduous curriculum, and all that work. It's the culmination of it. And then you're stepping off into service in the United States Army.
Yeah, Congressman, if you can just sort of see our shot here now, we see Marine One landing. That's the plane. You're certainly very familiar with that area. And it comes on an interesting historical day because 2 of the secretaries of the President's administration, Defense Secretary Esper and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, both graduates of West Point. What do you envision the president say? Oh, wow, fascinating. Well, what do you think is the mission that the president lays forth today?
He's going to talk about the challenges these men and women will face as they serve in the Army. And, you know, there are security threats. There are sovereignty threats, China, Russia. There are security threats, North Korea, Iran. There are safety threats, Islamic terrorism. So in all of those areas, I think he'll address what they will have to do, and that's go lead men and women in the prevention of war, and then if it happens, in the victory in war.
Congressman, speak a little bit to what would be going through the minds of these brave young men and women as they're listening to the president's address, maybe what they're hoping to hear, what could help them in a time that is quite divisive and tumultuous in this country and elsewhere right now, in which they're going to have to be the leaders out there on the front lines.
I think what they have to do and what the president needs to tell these guys and gals is, look, this is about your mission. And this is about your men. We used to say it that way, but we meant it as both men and women. This is about your soldiers, your mission and your soldiers. And whatever mission is in front of you, that's what you focus on. The Army is huge, and there are so many resources in our government that are addressing the ideological divide. And that's really more a political issue anyway. The soldiers should focus on their mission and their people, and really kind of honestly stay out of this ideologic battle that's going on. That's a political thing. We have separation of the civilian leadership of the nation and the military for a reason, and that's made our country more free, I believe. So they focus on mission and on their people.
We continue to watch, one of which is Marine One. The birds land on the plane there at West Point. The president has either arrived or will arrive just in seconds here. Congressman, if you would, there's a reason why our commander-in-chief goes to a service academy every single year and gives a commencement address. Talk to us about what makes West Point, what makes the Naval Academy, what makes these places so special to our nation.
Well, first of all, we take the very best of our nation into the academies, and it is about a life of service. I mean, you look at my class of 86, the motto, courage never quits. You got myself in Congress, you got Pompeo at State, you got Esper at Defense, you got 19 general officers, the Vice Chief of Staff of the Army, CEOs of Mercedes-Benz, CEOs of 7-Eleven. These young people, 2020, 35 years from now, will be doing the very same thing. The mission of West Point is to train leaders who will serve the nation for their lifetime. That's what this place is about. And that's why it's so special, and it's why presidents come and speak. So many other people. I had Caspar Weinberger, the Secretary of Defense for Ronald Reagan, speak at my graduation. I will never forget what he said. He used Gideon and the mission of the infantry, which are the motto of the infantry, which is follow me, which is essentially what Gideon from the Bible said to the people who followed him into battle. These moments are defining. And today is one of the most defining moments in these young people's lives, and it sets the stage for their future service to the country.
Yeah, and Congressman, those cadets have just listened to, as you see here on our screen, the rotor blades spinning as the President and Marine One land. You mentioned the class model. This year it is with vision, we lead. What might that vision be?
Well, their vision is going to be for freedom, the values that are important to America, a military to build their force in a way that meets the challenges of the future. And we're talking about domains of war. When I came in, the doctrine was air, land, battle doctrine. And we talked about air, maybe we were beginning to talk about space. Now it's space. Now it's cyber, as some folks on your show have mentioned this morning. And it's progressing into this domain of the mind and actually a battle for what people think. And so, psychological warfare, it takes on a new meaning in the era of social media and all of the, cyber stuff that we have at our hands. So their challenges are great, and that's what they've got to be thinking about.
Congressman, thank you very much for your insight this morning. Class of '86 certainly accomplished its mission. We thank you for your service and for giving voice to the meaning at West Point today. Thank you, Congressman. And